The rain slammed against the diner windows like it wanted to drown the whole world outside. Inside, I sat hunched over the counter, my hands trembling as I gripped my phone like it was holding my last chance. Every word from the lawyer's cold voice felt like a knife in my chest. "It's not about money, Maya. It's about stability." My heart froze as he spelled it out. No house, no husband, no daughter by noon tomorrow, and Lily would be taken to the mansion. 14 hours. 14 hours to save everything I loved. The call ended with a dry click, leaving me staring at the dark. Empty parking lot where my old car waited under blankets in the back seat. That car, that tiny space, was my home, my future. The hopelessness hit me like a hammer, and I crumbled against the cold counter, crying with a pain I couldn't hide. "My God," I whispered through convulsive sobs, "I need a miracle. I need a husband and a house by tomorrow, or I'll lose my little girl." I didn't notice him at first, sitting quietly at table 4 with his daughter. Liam, I would later learn his name, was a man shaped by hard work and loss. His hands were rough, his eyes kind but sad, carrying the weight of someone who had already lost too much. And somehow, when my words escaped into the air, he felt them as sharply as I did. He looked at his own little girl, Emma, playing distractedly with her French fries, and he imagined the pain of being torn apart from her. That was when his protective instinct kicked in. Liam stood and approached me slowly, deliberately, placing a $20 bill near my trembling hand. "Hey," he said softly, his voice deep and calm, "save those tears. No mother should cry like this." I lifted my head, my face streaked with red, embarrassed to have been seen in such a broken state. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bother anyone," I muttered. "You're not bothering anyone," he replied, steady and gentle. "I heard what you said. You need a husband and a house by tomorrow so you don't lose your daughter. Is that right?" I instinctively hugged my purse closer, defensive. "That's none of your business. I don't need charity from a stranger." He smiled, not pitying, just honest and firm. "It's not charity. I live alone with my daughter in a big house not far from here. Plenty of room. I can help. You need a husband and an address. Consider it done." I stared at him, stunned, looking for a catch. "Why would you do this? You don't even know me." He glanced back at his daughter, who had just knocked over a ketchup bottle, and chuckled softly. "It's because no child deserves to be taken from their mother. Let's make it fair. You help me clean up this mess. I help you save your daughter." I looked at the little girl, then back at him. For the first time in months, something in my chest eased, cautiously hopeful, and met his eyes. "Seriously? You're serious?" He held out his hand, eyes sincere, completely serious. "Let's do this the right way." That night, I followed Liam's truck through the rain to his home, my anxiety coiling tighter with every turn. When we arrived, the colonial-style house stood under the gray sky, a mixture of fear and relief twisting inside me. Inside, the house was messy, but alive piles of laundry, scattered toys, empty pizza boxes, but beneath the chaos, I saw a place I could call home. And with Liam by my side, I felt, for the first time, that maybe, just maybe, we could pull off a miracle. The moment we stepped inside, the storm outside felt miles away. Liam's house was cluttered, yes, but alive, and I could feel a strange sense of hope creeping into my chest. The girls, Lily and Emma, were already beginning to bond over the spilled ketchup, laughing and chasing each other around the living room. Liam gave me a small, encouraging nod, like saying, "This is where it starts. We didn't waste time." Liam grabbed trash bags and started collecting the pizza boxes and empty bottles. I folded laundry and organized toys into bins. It was hard work, but every small accomplishment, every cleared counter, Every straightened pillow felt like a brick in a fortress we were building to protect Lily. The hours passed quickly, but fatigue was chasing us at every step. Still, neither of us stopped. The storm outside kept pounding, echoing the urgency that filled the house at one point. Liam paused, running his hands through his hair, and looked at me seriously. "Maya, if we get this house ready, we can't just clean it. We have to live. The judge will ask questions, intimate ones, things only a real family knows." I nodded, feeling the weight of his words. This wasn't just cleaning. It was a performance that had to feel real. Every smile, every action, every little detail mattered. We made a plan. Beds had to be perfect. Rooms arranged like a home lived in for months, not hours. I gave the girls baths while Liam tackled the downstairs, clearing counters and vacuuming. The rugs. When I came down, the living room looked transformed. Toys were organized, laundry folded, and even the kitchen smelled of fresh coffee. Liam handed me a steaming mug, and our hands brushed for just a second. The touch was electric, fleeting, but it grounded me in a way I hadn't expected. For hours, we worked side by side, folding clothes, arranging rooms, and cooking a simple dinner that could pass as a family meal. We didn't speak much, but our silence was comfortable, filled with shared purpose. I watched Liam's hands, strong, scarred, capable of building houses, and now, carefully folding tiny dresses and socks as if they were precious works of art. In those hours, I realized something profound. The man who stood beside me wasn't just helping me. He was helping Lily. He was helping me survive. At 3 a.m, exhaustion finally caught up to us. We sat at the kitchen table, catching our breath, but the reality didn't let us rest. "Greg isn't just going to inspect the house," Liam said quietly, his eyes serious. "He'll ask personal questions. We have to know everything about each other." I wrote down small details: his favorite coffee, the side of the bed he slept on, Emma's bedtime rituals. Liam did the same, careful and precise. Every detail mattered. Every truth we bent slightly was to protect Lily. We were creating a story that needed to feel like a real family because that story would decide her future. Finally, I looked at him, weary and anxious, but something had shifted. The cold fear I had felt earlier was replaced by determination. Together, we were going to face whatever came next. Whatever storm waited outside, inside that house, we were preparing for battle. The clock was ticking, and every second brought us closer to the courtroom where Lily's life would hang in the balance. The morning came too quickly, gray and heavy with fog that made the city look like it was holding its breath. I smoothed my blue dress, trying to erase the curve of defeat that had haunted my shoulders for weeks. Liam stood beside me, his gray suit surprisingly fitting his broad, calloused frame like armor. In the back seat, Lily and Emma held hands quietly, their small fingers intertwined. A silent promise that somehow made me believe we could survive whatever was coming. Inside the courthouse, the chill hit immediately. The hallway smelled of polished wood and cold stone. My heart pounded as we walked past strangers and staff, but Liam's presence beside me was solid, unshakable. Greg, my ex, sat arrogantly with his lawyers, dressed in a crisp Italian suit, looking far too confident. He barely noticed me, his eyes scanning the room like a predator in shallow water. Liam, on the other hand, positioned himself subtly between me and the courtroom door, a silent shield. I felt the tension in my chest ease just a fraction. Judge Harrison banged the gavel. "Custody of Lily Thompson. Mr. Gregg, you claim housing negligence. The floor is yours." Gregg rose gracefully, his voice smooth but sharp. "Your Honor, Maya Thompson is homeless. She lives in a Honda Civic with her 6-year-old child. Photos and testimonies support this. I, on the other hand, offer a mansion, stability, and private schooling. This is about basic safety. I felt my knees weaken, my worst fears coming alive. But then Liam rose, the chair scraping loudly against the floor, catching everyone's attention. "That's a lie, Your Honor," he said firmly, with a calm that surprised even me. Greek spun, laughing condescendingly. "And who are you?" "My name is Liam Miller, owner of Miller Construction," he replied, his voice steady and full of authority. "Maya does not live in a car. She lives with me at 452 Oak Street. Lily has her own room, clean clothes, and a real bed. She is safe, warm, and loved." The room went silent. Greg's face turned red with fury. "This is a farce. You met yesterday." Liam didn't flinch. "We have been together for months," he said, remembering every detail we had crafted the night before. "We decided to unite our family under one roof to provide stability for Lily. No child should be taken from their mother due to temporary hardship." Judge Harrison studied Liam, his expression hard but attentive. After a moment, he nodded. "I will grant 30 days of shared provisional custody under social services supervision. If this home proves stable, custody remains with the mother. If there is any sign of fraud, the child goes to the father. Do we understand each other?" Greg hissed as he left the courtroom, muttering threats about destroying our little theater. Liam held my hand, strong and reassuring, and whispered, "Give it your best shot, Greg." Outside, the sunlight was pale but felt warm on my skin. For the first time in weeks, I could breathe. Liam's hand in mine, Lily's laughter mixing with Emma's, and the knowledge that we had fought together was more than I had dared hope for. In that moment, I realized that the miracle I had begged for in the diner had arrived. Not from the sky, but from a man who had chosen to stand beside me when I was at my lowest. The first few days after the hearing were a mix of relief and tension. Every step inside 452 Oak Street felt like rehearsing for a performance where a child's future was the prize. I moved cautiously, cleaning counters that were already clean, arranging the pantry again and again just to keep my hands busy and my mind from spiraling. Liam tried to balance work and parenting, coming home with mud-stained boots and stopping at the doorway to inhale the scent of basil and fabric softener that now replaced the loneliness in the house. Slowly, the house began to feel alive. Little moments made the change organic. I found Liam sitting on the floor with Emma, helping her tie her shoes, his thick fingers gentle and patient, guiding hers with a tenderness I had never imagined from someone so rugged. Lily, standing beside them, cheered for Emma, and my heart swelled watching my daughter experience happiness again. The house, once just wood and bricks, was now gaining a soul. Dinners became shared moments instead of tense routines. Liam spoke about bridges he had built, the pride in his work tangible, while I shared dreams of returning to nursing school. We were learning about each other slowly, our walls starting to crumble, but beneath the warmth, fear lingered. Every knock of a hammer, every phone call, reminded me that the outside world could still shatter what we were building inside these walls. At night, the nightmares came. I woke with tears, hugging my knees as if holding myself together could protect Lily. Liam came to my side, silent but present, sitting at the edge of the bed without touching, offering strength through his presence alone. "I'm not going to let that happen," he said softly, his voice like a shield against my terror. I looked at him, tears glistening, and whispered, "We're lying to the court, Liam. We're pretending, and it's all fragile. What if they find out?" His hand brushed mine, rough and strong, and he wiped a tear from my face. "It's not a lie. I saw you care for my daughter. I saw you make this house a home in days. We are protecting what matters. That is real." For the first time, I believed him. Not just because of his words, but because of the quiet way he had entered our lives and chosen to fight beside us. The alliance we had formed had begun as a desperate act of survival, but it was becoming something more. It was trust, it was protection, and slowly it was becoming a fragile, tender version of love. The first few days after the hearing were a mix of relief and tension. Every step inside 452 Oak Street felt like rehearsing for a performance where a child's future was the prize. I moved cautiously, cleaning counters that were already clean, arranging the pantry again and again just to keep my hands busy and my mind from spiraling. Liam tried to balance work and parenting, coming home with mud-stained boots and stopping at the doorway to inhale the scent of basil and fabric softener that now replaced the loneliness in the house. Slowly, the house began to feel alive. Little moments made the change organic. I found Liam sitting on the floor with Emma, helping her tie her shoes, his thick fingers gentle and patient, guiding hers with a tenderness I had never imagined from someone so rugged. Lily, standing beside them, cheered for Emma, and my heart swelled watching my daughter experience happiness again. The house, once just wood and bricks, was now gaining a soul. Dinners became shared moments instead of tense routines. Liam spoke about bridges he had built, the pride in his work tangible, while I shared dreams of returning to nursing school. We were learning about each other slowly, our walls starting to crumble, but beneath the warmth, fear lingered. Every knock of a hammer, every phone call, reminded me that the outside world could still shatter what we were building inside these walls. At night, the nightmares came. I woke with tears, hugging my knees as if holding myself together could protect Lily. Liam came to my side, silent but present, sitting at the edge of the bed without touching, offering strength through his presence alone. Maya, not going to let that happen, he said softly, his voice like a shield against my terror. I looked at him, tears glistening, and whispered, "We're lying to the court, Liam. We're pretending, and it's all fragile. What if they find out?" His hand brushed mine, rough and strong, and he wiped a tear from my face. "It's not a lie. I saw you care for my daughter. I saw you make this house a home in days. We are protecting what matters. That is real." For the first time, I believed him, not just because of his words, but because of the quiet way he had entered our lives and chosen to fight beside us. The alliance we had formed had begun as a desperate act of survival, but it was becoming something more. It was trust. It was protection. And slowly, it was becoming a fragile, tender version of love. The days that followed the courtroom victory were quiet, but full of small miracles. The house on Oak Street had transformed from a stage set into a real home. Lily and Emma ran through the halls, laughing and discovering new games together, their voices filling spaces that had been silent for too long. Every morning, I woke up to the smell of coffee and the soft sound of Liam's laughter as he tried to teach the girls a new game or fix a broken toy. Our nights were calm but intimate, in ways I hadn't allowed myself to imagine. We shared simple dinners, swapped stories about the past, and slowly, the walls we had built around ourselves began to crumble. I watched Liam in awe, his hands, calloused from years of building houses, now gentle as he brushed hair from Lily's face or guided Emma's small fingers in tying her shoes. He had become more than a stranger who offered help. He'd become the anchor that kept us steady when the world threatened to pull us under. One evening, as the sun dipped low behind the trees, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, Liam worked on the backyard swing he had promised the girls. I stepped outside with 2 glasses of lemonade, watching Lily and Emma chase each other across the lawn, squealing with joy. I approached him and touched his shoulder lightly. "You know," I whispered, "that night at the diner, I asked for a miracle. I asked for a husband and a house so I wouldn't lose my daughter." Liam set down his tools, wiping his hands on his pants, and pulled me close, kissing the top of my head. "And you got it," he said, with a smile. "Just not exactly how you imagined," I laughed softly, leaning into his chest. "No, I got so much more. I got a stubborn carpenter, a pile of laundry twofold, and 2 little girls who are now sisters. I got a whole life." He held me tighter, eyes soft with emotion. "Family isn't just about blood. It's about choice, courage, and showing up for each other when the world turns its back." As I watched our daughters play under the fading light, I realized he was right. Miracles didn't always come from heaven. They sometimes came from the hands of a stranger who refused to look away from a man who chose to fight for us when no one else would. Liam, our girls, and I had built something real, something lasting. A home, a family, a life worth living for the first time in years. I felt safe, loved, and whole. And I knew that no storm, no threat, and no past could ever take that away from us.